brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, here with my brother, my guy that made a mistake in his choices, but it's my dude,
We
Big
know you did. It's all
KJ.
good. It's all good. I know you, my brother from another. He really a Cowboys fan. Don't believe him. He a
Never
Cowboys
that.
fan.
Never that. But either way, we back, man. It's best of enemies, man. We here with another one. And today we're gonna talk about some actual football. So we have made it through a couple months of us just talking about drafts, us talking about this and that. But now we actually have some football to talk about. I'm excited. I know you are, James. But let's just I guess start from the beginning. I guess I'll ask you, how has your training camp been going? We're only 3 actual, live days in. What's going on over there in Dallas? How are you feeling so far about training camp?
Yeah, man. We're around the same time as you guys, 3 to 4 days. I think yesterday was the last unpadded practice. They hit the pads Monday, so that's going to be the exciting part. Everybody looks good without the pads. Everybody is the best thing ever. But for us, from my perspective, I feel good about the camp. Obviously we talked about on our side, the defense will probably be ahead of the offense, and that's what it's looking like right now. But I'm not going to lie, I'm really excited about the defense. I'm really excited about the speed of the defense. Michael Parsons in year 2. That's the main thing I'm excited about. I know the offense is going to, be a little bit behind, but they're, looking at Dak. Dak looks really good. He looks really in shape. Ezekiel Elliott looks good. The team looks very, I will say, I don't want to say they look like they've been really working out and staying trim, and really the program, the strength conditioning program, looks like it really works. So I'm really excited to see that part of it. And those first few days of camp was some good work.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it, too, you said in shape and trimmed up. When I saw your boy Tyler Smith, I did not know. First of all, I don't know why I thought he was white. That's neither here nor there. But I thought he was white this whole time. Not gonna lie. But that man is skinny. I know they're saying he's like 300 something pounds, but that man is lean. So I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
but it's a good lean because see, here's
yeah,
the
I'm
thing.
not even hating. Yeah, I can't even
Yeah.
hate.
But that's that good training with that Duke Manyweather. That's where they put Terrence Steele with, and he really stepped his game up. He really got in shape. He really put in work, and that was the led to the release of Leo Collins because of that good training. So it only made sense for them to put Tyler Smith over there with him. And if you've seen Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, they were walking ahead of Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith is every bit as big, but he just not has that meatiness, but he's still every bit as big. I think that helps him with his continued athletic ability because he's very athletic guy. I think he's end up going to be in our left tackle, and I think that's why they're grooming him. But to see him being trim like that, seeing him really putting in the work, I'm excited about that pick. A lot of people were down on that pick, but to see him really put in the work, he's a Cowboy, he's a Dallas boy. He's really just really immersed himself in this, and I think he's going to be a great pickup for the Cowboys. I think that was a slept-on first-round pick.
Yeah, and something you brought up earlier, when we were talking about it, was that you say that your defense seems like they're a little bit ahead of the offense, which you again said it is kind of the trend. That's kind of what you see yearly. I will say with Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm gonna put it bluntly, man. I love my Eagles fans. It is what it is, but they wilding right now. Like anytime you hear something bad about Jalen Hurts, they're going absolutely
Yep.
crazy. Um, we've been up and down. It has been up and down. I could say like the first day, I felt like the offense probably got the best of the day. But the last two, like I said, we only really had 3 real days. The last two, it seems like Jalen Hurts has been struggling a little bit, up and downs. But that's to be expected, right? There's so many new things happening. You got so many new players. I'm happy that the defense is starting to step up. There's so many additions to this defense that they need to step up. I've said this time and time again that if the defense is the same as last year, we're not going to be any much better. So I'm glad to see that the defense is taking the step up, getting some turnovers and stuff like that. Is there anything from your camp that you're looking at and you're kind of like, do you feel Dallas fans or Dallas Nation is overreacting to anything right now?
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely overreacting to a few things. I think one of the things that I think the overreaction is, well, I don't know if it's an overreaction. I don't think we're going crazy, but I put out there about Ezekiel Elliott on my Twitter, and I said, you know what, I'm just kind of getting tired of the Zeke hate. I understood like last year he wasn't what he was. You know, he had the, but we didn't know about the injury until the end of the year, and I understood that his days may be numbered in Dallas, and I understood that, you know, maybe Dallas did overpay for him. We understand that, but that wasn't his fault. That was good negotiation by the player. But
Yeah.
I think the overreaction is that Zeke is washed. I'm tired. Ezekiel Elliott is not washed. He is still a very good back. He's still obviously he probably doesn't have that burst that he had when he came out of Ohio State and those things. But when you watched him at camp, he still has the jump cut. He still has the instinctual move. He still can put you on the ground. He's still a physical guy. He's still got good hands. It's not like he's 32 years old. Ezekiel Elliott still has a lot to give the Dallas Cowboys, and I understand how we want Tony Pollard to get in there. Let's start Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard needs to do this. Tony Pollard needs to do that. Hey, I like Tony Pollard, and I think they will incorporate him. They must, because Kellen Moore was put on blast, so he's got to incorporate Tony Pollard in there. But anybody who's telling me Zeke is washed, y'all have them own feelings. To me, that's overreaction in Cowboys land, and they need to see, and they're going to see, as long as Ezekiel Elliott is healthy and he hasn't been hurt. My dog Mel, what's up? But this was his first last year. Last year was his first year ever really being hurt. You get what I'm saying? He's been a warrior this whole time. This is the first time he's ever been hurt, and he played through it. Now, we understand that probably should have sat him on the bench and let him heal, but he still was a dog, played through it, and still hit 1,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the overreactions right there, that Zeke is washed. I think some of the things that we're probably maybe looking at along the offensive line, I don't know if it's an overreaction, but Matt Waletzko, our 5th-round draft pick, he was out with the shoulder injury. We don't know how long. And I think that in my eyes, they need to look at that offensive line, Joe. Josh Ball was drafted out of Marshall last year. He didn't see the field. I need to see, he played a little bit of left tackle, was on the first team. But I think there's a reaction of, we need a veteran offensive lineman in there somehow, some way, to kind of keep the stability going right there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Zeke, because I think, like, on the parallel side, right, on the opposite side, I should say, the Eagles are kind of dealing with that too. I mean, Miles Sanders is not Ezekiel Elliott. Miles Sanders was obviously not drafted the same, spot. He hasn't been asked to be the same thing that Ezekiel Elliott has been asked to be for the Cowboys. But look, Kenneth Gainwell, obviously the guy that we drafted last year, he saw a lion's share of the workload as far as the first 3 practices go. Last practice, I should say, the first 2. This last practice, it seems that Miles Sanders was with the first team a lot more. Nick Sirianni even joked with, reporters that, hey, he's with the first team, you guys. Like, you see that, right? But it's interesting, because I said it off air, and I really do mean it. Like, I really do feel like Eagles fans are taking every single tweet they see and just dragging it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Spike in here. Just said I was on my Dan Silio. Never that, but but at the end of the day, never that. But at the end of the day, it is very interesting to see how, like, I feel like Eagles fans are really excited about this year, but in the same token, I feel like we're really nervous, because, like, there's no way that you're excited and feel highly about this team, but every time you hear that Jalen Hurts has a bad throw, you blow up and think everybody's lying. Like, that's part of the game. That's just how it's going to happen. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be new plays. There's going to be new installs. Like, there's so many things that happen throughout training camp that you're going to have some of your falls. You're going to have some of your downfalls. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that everything starts to get a little bit smoother. I want to ask you, though, because I have been hearing a lot of, like, comparisons of training camp. How is your training camp being run? Because we aren't going hard, but I think that's because of the NFLPA. So I just kind of want to know, are you guys doing anything out of the box with your training camp, or is that just kind of chatter, or is it kind of just regular, training camps for you guys? Like, what's going on over there as far as how you're running it?
I think what they're doing is they're being cautious about it, because you got to realize that Mike McCarthy, remember, the Cowboys the last 2 years have got docked a practice day because they were being too physical at practice. So I think that's the thing that they're keeping their eyes on in these first few days. But once again, it's not pads. So you're not going to really see too many crazy things without pads. You're just really going to see just a lot of installs, a lot of red zone action, field goal kicking, inside the 20, we're seeing how we can score, those type of things. So I think it's a pretty normal camp per se, but I do think they are keeping their eyes on the physicality of it because they have got doc days because of being too physical. So I think that's the thing that they're keeping their eyes on. But from what I'm really hearing and seeing from my side, it's a pretty normal camp, and they're just really trying to get the little intricacies down with the offense and kind of get them up to speed, add in new players to the installs of what they're trying to do, and kind of see where they're going from there.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to ask also, because I saw you guys talking about this. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat already. We got 80 people in here. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe wherever you are. But something I want to ask you about is this team, and you are Stephen Jones' probably biggest fan. I think that, you know what I'm saying? But no, real talk. He talked about how you guys as fans are reacting to, the lack of moves, the lack of, picking up free agents, whatever you may say. And the way he explained it, is kind of what you've been saying this whole time, that he's going to be cheap. He's going to see what these young guys can do. Was there any surprises from what he said, or was it kind of like, I expected that on your end?
I definitely expected that. I'm not saying I know Stephen Jones, but we've seen his history. We've seen how he operates. We know what he's done. And here's the thing. When he's come out in the media over about 10 years ago, he said it. He said, we're not going to overpay for players. We're not going to do that. We're going to build through the draft. We're going to sign our own, and that's how we're going to do it. And that's the way he has stayed. He has not deviated from that, and he's not going to, from what I've seen. So what he was talking about, I think he just keep on trying to tell Cowboys fans, because Cowboys fans are frustrated, especially what we keep on hearing about and seeing about the Rams and these other teams going out there not worrying about these draft picks, and they're like, hey, we'll worry about those draft picks next year. We're trying to win now, and this is what we're trying to do. I think that this frustrating thing with me is that, like I said, there's nobody over top of a Stephen Jones like you have with Howie. He has a pressure that he has to get things done or he won't have a job. You get what I'm saying? So that's a strong pressure that you always want to bring it in. And there is kind of no patience, as we can say, Joe. You guys can't really have patience over there, because if you don't do it 1, 2, 3 years in a row, you're gone, right, as a general manager. So there's never really any patience. You got to put it together now. But it's a different dynamic over there in Dallas, because there's nobody pushing a Stephen Jones, a Jerry Jones, and telling them to hurry up, or we need to do this. There's nobody firing a Jerry Jones. There's nobody firing a Stephen Jones. So as I said, they can just sit back and say the same thing they always, oh, we're going to build it. He's always talking about young players. And you know why? And Mike McCarthy even said this. There's a vision that they have with these young players. This is the vision. They're cheap. They don't cost a lot of money. So that's the vision. So we're going to rely on these young guys because they're cheap. So if something goes down, I don't owe a lot of money to these people, and I don't know why he keeps trying to spend this some other kind of way. That's the only way you can spend this. That's why they love the young players. Yes, you want to have young players on your team. We understand that, Joe. But you know the reason why. Well, at least I'm saying we know the reason why you love the young players, Stephen Jones, is because they're cheap. So if something happens with them and you have to get rid of them, it's not hurting you on the salary cap. It's not hurting you on the ultimate plans, and you can reload and get somebody else, especially if a lot of these young players that you're talking about are 4th, 5th, 6th, and undrafted players. As I said before, Joe, God forbid something happened with a CeeDee Lamb, right? But because he didn't really go out and dress it, we're relying on a James Washington who hasn't really done anything. So God forbid a CeeDee Lamb go down, who would be our receivers then? If you have a James Washington, right, and the CeeDee Lamb went down for, like, let's say 4 or 5 games. Now you got a rookie in Jalen Tolbert. You have a guy who we love in practice, TJ Vasher's been stepping up. Simi Fehoko, a 5th rounder. You don't even know he's going to make the team. TJ Vasher was undrafted. And a lot of these other guys that you have on the team at the receiving core, yes, you're excited. Oh, he looks good in practice. But they were all undrafted. And are we really jumping in and going into the season with a bunch of undrafted drafted receivers, a linebacking core that if our top dog goes down, now you're looking at, man, where is our depth? We're relying on young players who haven't even seen the field and maybe not even the best competition they've went against. So you're really going to throw in a young guy who hasn't seen this NFL level type of talent and think he's going to come in there and hit the ground running. I'm sorry, Joe. I just don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about it a lot, and I joked around and talked my junk, but there's a lot of questions in Dallas right now, and there's a lot of questions in Philadelphia. Don't get me wrong, and there's a question that that's in the chat right now, and I want to talk about windows because I think like the Eagles and the Cowboys are in very similar but polar opposite situations when it comes to the GM, where like you have a guy that is just very one way. Like if I wish that Howie Roseman was a little bit, how do I say this? A little bit smarter with how he managed his money. Like I do feel he makes a lot of moves. I do feel he's a great GM when it comes to the cap and stuff like that. But we find ourselves, you look at, last 2 years, we find ourselves with a lot of dead money, a lot. You guys just don't spend money. So it's like the total opposite, but they're very stuck in their ways. So I kind of want to ask you right now, looking at your team, who said it? I think it was Quezzy the Great said that the Cowboys' window to win has closed.
That's
do you
true.
how do you feel the window is for the Dallas Cowboys? And I'm talking Super Bowl. I'm not talking about the NFC East. Where do you think the Cowboys are comparatively to last year as far as your window goes to winning the Super Bowl?
Their window is open. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that at all. Their window is definitely open. Let's look at the team right now. Who did they lose? Okay, we lost Amari Cooper. That was a big loss, okay? But you still have a CeeDee Lamb, and you do have a Michael Gallup coming back eventually. But let's sit there and say CeeDee Lamb, I think he's going to really turn up and go off, okay? You lost Connor Williams. He wasn't a significant player. You lost La'el Collins. La'el Collins is on the PUP over in Cincinnati. Randy Gregory. We like Randy Gregory, but we all thought Randy Gregory was probably going to outprice himself in Dallas anyway. A lot of us were already talking about that. So when you look at who he did replace with, yeah, they weren't no major players. We don't like that. We like to get a big time dog here and there. But when you sit there and say windows closed, I can't believe that. You have a Micah Parsons still. You have a Trevin Diggs still. You still have a CeeDee Lamb. You still have a Dak Prescott. You still have Ezekiel Elliott. You still have a Tony Pollard. You still have a Michael Gallup coming back. Dalton Schultz, he ain't no dog tight end, but he ain't bad. Okay, he was in the top 10 of metrics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Their offensive line, Tyron Smith. I understand. I don't listen to Tyron Smith when he says he's the best health of his life. But let's sit there and let's not act like Tyron Smith is a bum. Let's not act like Zach Martin is weak. You get what I'm saying? So Dallas, Jerry Ron Curse had an excellent year. Malik Hooker, who was a top draft pick, he came in there and he played better. Okay, and we still have talent. DeMarcus Lawrence along the defensive line. Osa Ogadazua. So for you, somebody sit there and say Dallas Cowboys window is closed, that's crazy because they still have the potential to win the East. I still picked them. If you look at the NFC as a whole, where we talking about the NFC is so freaking dominant that there's a repeat team in the Rams. I'm not saying they're automatic repeat. The window is the NFC to me is still wide open, Joe. I feel like there is nobody that is dominant in the NFC, so there is definitely a window. The problem is, like I said, Joe, I don't care about the regular season with Dallas no more. Okay, we got the talent to win 10 games every year. For real, they got the talent to win it 10 games every year. But nobody cares about the regular season. It's about the playoffs, winning consecutive playoff games and getting to that ultimate prize. So there's definitely a window still open with the Cowboys, but are they going to get through it? That is the question.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna talk junk because it is what it is. I do agree with a lot of what you said. I do, on the other hand, though, feel like the Eagles' door is now starting to open. I think that this year is like a possibility they might bust through that door. I'm not, one to say that this is a Super Bowl year or bust. I want to see a playoff win. I think that's where I'm at with this team. But I think that they're on the verge of busting through that door. Whereas I feel like the Cowboys, their door is starting to close. It might not be totally closed, and I understand that you still have some youth on that team. You still have a decent head coach. You still have Dak. You still have some good players. Micah Parsons, like you said, Trayvon Diggs.
So how are you saying our window? How are you saying our
because I feel like you guys are at the point that if Dak Prescott doesn't do something in the playoffs, you're probably going to be looking at another coach. You're probably going to be doubting what Dak Prescott is. I feel like you guys are another first round exit from imploding your team. That's realistically where I feel. That's how I feel about you guys.
That's realistic. I can say
So,
that's
so
realistic.
I so I feel like saying like I said, I'm not saying that their window's closed or their doors
It
closed.
might be it might be closing. I'm not saying
Exactly.
it's closed, but yes, I will. I didn't mean to cut you off on that, Joe, but
No,
I
you
will
good.
agree with you with that opinion of that. If Mike McCarthy doesn't get it done, but here's the thing with that though. I'll bounce off of that too, Joe. If Mike McCarthy doesn't get it done, there's a dude named Sean Payton out there, bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
facts.
so when we say the window might be closed, when dude was saying that, that's not true. When you say it could be closing, yes, but as I said before, Jerry Jones is 80 years old now, right? He's not gonna go and get some young guy, some unproven guy. He's not going to do that. I don't care what anybody tells me. Sean Payton sitting out there for a whole year. He's going to throw a boatload of money out there to him if Mike McCarthy doesn't get it done. And you don't tell me, Joe, that everybody from Cowboys land will be jumping right back on that wagon and saying, "Ooh, we got Dak Prescott, we got a CD Lamb, and we got a Sean Payton now." So that window may be looking close, will look open again because you have a Sean Payton as a coach, and everybody's going to sit there and say, well, we're going to keep a Dak because we're not going to get rid of a Dak without a Sean Payton because we need to see how that dynamic works.
That's true. That's very true. I feel like if Sean Payton is to come to the Cowboys, that might put me on a little bit of edge, but I really want to be that scared. I don't know. I don't believe in
You be nervous.
I wouldn't be that nervous. I would be a little bit like, okay, I'm gonna watch, but I wouldn't be that nervous. I just don't feel like you guys. I feel like you guys got worse, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you that those losses weren't necessarily the end of the world. They weren't the end all be all. But at the same time, I feel like they're going to affect you. I don't feel like everyone else getting better around you and you, even if it's marginally, getting worse is going to affect you. So like, I don't know. I do feel like that.
But let me
Go
ask
ahead.
you something, Joe. I'm gonna just ask you about your team. You talking about windows, right? Okay. Do you know your average age of your team right now?
I think we're around 25 point something, if I'm not mistaken.
25, 26, right? And you
Yeah,
got
like 25.8
okay,
ish.
right. So here's the thing: you got Jalen Hurts, right? You talking about windows? Jalen Hurts still. You just said in your camp every time Jalen Hurts throws a bad pass, oh blah blah this, oh blah blah that. That's gonna be all year. He's got the microscope under him, like Dak Prescott had the microscope on him. And when he first came in the league a couple years ago, everybody kept on saying the same thing. So he's got the microscope. So if he doesn't do it this year, or let's say he doesn't have a good year and let's say maybe regresses, okay? Where are you saying that your window is so wide open? Because you still have a young coach, right? How long is the leash for him? How long does Howie get if those free agent guys that you brought over and they don't do what they want? Well, how long is your window open?
See, that's a great question. I mean, realistically though, I don't. If Jalen Hurts is not that guy, we have the assets to go find that guy. I think that Nick Sirianni has shown that he can run an offense and he can run an offense around his players. So if Jalen Hurts is not that guy, we still got a whole lot of good young players on that offense. Because you look at the offensive line, even. You look at the offensive line. Even you look at what you guys are going through. We're not going to go through that. Once Jason Kelsey leaves, we got a heir apparent in Cam Jurgens. Brandon Brooks just stepped out. We had an heir apparent in Landon Dickerson. Isaac Seumalo has played at a Pro Bowl level. You look beyond him. You have a Jack Driscoll that started all last year. So we have backups to the starters. We have guys that are going to step it up. So I'm more worried about the defense when it comes to stuff like that. Like you look at the cornerbacks, you look at the safety room, there's a lot of uncertainty, especially at the cornerbacks. I'm beyond the moon. Don't get me wrong that we have guys like James Bradbury, Darius Slay, and Avonte Max heading that group, but they're all over 28, right? Like, and they're not getting younger. Darius Slay, I think, is on a 1 or 2 more year deal. Obviously, James Bradbury's only here for a year. So I'd be a little bit more worried about our defense having to re-up, you know what I'm saying, than our offense. I think if Jalen Hurts isn't that guy, we're going to find that guy. And I think that, Howie Roseman has proven that he's not going to lay down for too long. You know, you
Okay,
look
but
at
I did all right. I'm jumping in. I didn't mean to cut you off because I'm
no,
hearing
you
what you're
good.
saying. So, okay, let's Jalen Hurts. You said we're gonna find that guy. So if Jalen Hurts is not that guy, are you going through the draft to find that guy because you're gonna bet on a rookie if you go that route
Yeah.
and putting all your stock in a rookie who's never seen the NFL, or are you gonna go out and trade players, trade picks to go get a established veteran? So where are you coming from when you say we're gonna find our guy?
See, I was hoping you didn't ask that question because it's easy. It's easier said than done, James. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. Quarterback is not an easy position to fill. Obviously, we're seeing that. Um, you know, honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There is obviously questions. Like I said when I started this whole rant, right? There's questions in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia just like Dallas. I just feel like your questions are a lot more higher paid and a lot older at this point. Like I don't know.
Okay, who's old? Who's so old on my team though right now?
No, I won't say so old, but
We
Dak
ain't we
Prescott's getting paid
we
$40 million. If he doesn't
but
start winning some
that's a bargain right now,
playoffs,
Joe. That's a bargain right now, Joe. So you
is it
can't really
though?
say
Is
that.
it?
It very is because you just seen all these other quarterbacks just get paid. You and
But
Lamar Jackson and those
but
guys.
look at Kyler Murray. Look at Kyler
Okay,
Murray.
look at him.
I'm assuming you're bringing up Kyler Murray, right? Because he just
I'm
got
bringing
that.
up everybody because if
True,
we look
true.
at
People
Aaron
are getting
Rodgers,
paid,
Dak and them,
but
Dak has dropped in pay as far as everybody. Oh, Dak is a 40 million guy. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. Well, Aaron Rodgers and them got all that money, and what has Aaron Rodgers done? What's Aaron Rodgers done?
he won a
What
Super
is
Bowl. He won a Super
when
Bowl. It was a
2010?
while ago. It was a
With
while.
who? With who?
It was a
Mike
while.
McCarthy was his coach. Aaron Rodgers
Yeah,
ain't did nothing. He just got big money. Kyler Murray ain't did nothing, and he
no,
just
I
got
agree with
big
that.
money. Your boy Herbert. I love him, but he ain't did nothing. And he about to get paid. So
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this. Oh, these quarterbacks are getting all this money, and since they got all this money, they got to do this and that. Well, these other guys just got paid and they ain't did nothing. So I don't know why we putting this all on Dak. Like he got to just do all this now because he got this money. No, he's coming into a bargain now as far as he getting paid. And I think he should still have a leash as far as being able to win games and go into a Super Bowl when you see a lot of these other guys who've got paid and ain't did nothing either.
It's true. I agree 100%, especially with the Kyler. That contract was the dumbest contract, and it kind of ruined. Because now I'm asking myself, it's like, do you? And I want to ask you this, and I want to ask everybody in the. First, I'm going to ask two questions. I'm going to ask you a different question, but I'm going to ask the chat. We got 150 people in here. Shout out to everybody in here. Be
Shout
sure
out
to hit the like,
everybody.
hit the subscribe. I want to ask everybody in the chat because I know we have a pretty good split of Cowboys and Eagles fans. What do you think that Prescott's contract right now is a bargain, overpaid, underpaid? I want to know what the chat thinks. But the question I have for you, James, I was talking about this to the Eagles fans and Eagles community. Would it be smart of Howie Roseman and company to throw a number at Jalen Hurts right now? And say, listen, you want to take 30 a year and we'll sign you for 3 years and try and build around you because that's a big deal for us right now? Or is it like you wait and if you got to pay him 45, 50, you got to pay him 45, 50? Because I'm a little bit nervous that we have a really good team, right? We have a really good team. If we go out there, win a playoff game, now Jalen Hurts is acting like it was him. He's going to get 45 mil. Then we can't build around him because that's what he needs is a great team. So how would you feel about that? Like, kind of put yourself in my shoes for a
Ooh,
second.
that's tough. That's tough right there because you're hedging. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah,
hedging and the hedge because, like you said, you have those draft picks that you put away just in case. He didn't do it, but once again, you're banking on something that's not a reality yet, and you've never seen it. So part of me, more part of me says throw a number at Jalen Hurts right now. So you
yeah.
can go ahead and get him in there and say, hey, we got some confidence in you. We'll throw a 3-year deal. We believe in you enough to put you on a short-term deal. We like our team right now. And I would do it like where they do it, when they sign these shorter term deals or when they sign these 4 or 5-year deals, they're really like a 2 or 3-year deal. And
Yeah.
after a couple of years, we can just cut you and we don't catch the loss and we can kind of move on. I feel like that's the kind of deal I will come with Hurts, where it will be more like a 2-year deal, even more you see it as a 4 or 5. It'd be more like a 2-year deal where you got 2 years to really show us, and after that we can just cut you and move on and we're done.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And people are saying, what has Jalen done for 30 mil? What has Kyler done for 50 or
You
45 or
feel
whatever the heck
me?
he's
Kyler
getting? Like
ain't
that,
did
that's
nothing.
my thing. Yeah, it's like
And
I
these quarterbacks,
understand.
and you heard Pat Mahomes where he said the next guy is going to be up no matter what. This is the way the quarterback market goes. So that's just the
Yeah.
way it is. So if you have a decent year as a quarterback and you're a high pick, you're getting paid.
Yeah. And it like you said, you're hedging your bets. It's almost smarter to be like, all right, we'll save 10 to $15 million over the next 2 years. If we just say, because you could even say to him, he has 2 more years if you count this year, right? He has 2 more years. If you say to him, listen, we'll extend you 2 more years on top of your 2 years, right? We'll give you a little pay bump next year or a bunch of incentives next year if you can do this, that, and the third.
Right.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Like I could live with that because, like you said, you're going to go get a rookie. You're going to get a guy that doesn't know the NFL. He's going to be it's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a process there. Or you're going to give up a bunch of stuff for the future for a guy that's going to be here for 2-3 years. Right. And we were sitting there before this offseason. So I get nervous that he's going to have a decent season and then we're going to overpay him by way, way too much. So that's the only
Right.
thing that worries me. But you're 100% right, especially to bring up the Kyler and everything, because these contracts are ridiculous. And you see how much chances these guys get. You look at people like Baker, you look at people like Sam Darnold, people like Carson, you can even throw in there, that are just getting chance after chance after chance. Because I feel like I don't know if the quarterback position is getting more complicated or the prospects are getting worse, right? Like what would you blame it on? Like, why are these people getting so much money now?
Because it's the quarterback position. That's just the way it is. That's the way. I mean, you saw it when before the salary cap came out for rookies. You remember that, and you remember Sam Bradford is the one that destroyed everything because when he came out, he got that crazy monstrous contract and never played it down, and he was making more than established veterans in the league. And that's when they said enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore. We're putting a cap on this on these rookies. They're not coming in because you had a disgruntlement from a lot of these veteran players that these guys were coming in and haven't did anything. And they're making more money than me. And I've been playing 5 years in this league and I'm a dog. And this dude comes in as a rookie, never played it down in NFL, and he's making more than me. Yeah, so that's always been the problem. That's why they start putting that cap on rookies, especially quarterbacks, because they always think that once you get that ridiculous quarterback, that franchise guy, it's always going to keep you in the mix, and it does. But it does to a point cripple your team in a way because you're putting all that money into one player. And that's where I can see where Stephen Jones says, well, you put all this money into one player. Now we can't pay other people to do this and that. But that's where I was saying, I was wondering, does Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones really, really believe in Dak? Because that's what he kept screaming. And even Jerry Jones was going through the building before they signed Dak to that big contract. Dak is our guy, right? Dak is our guy, right? You know what I'm saying? Before we get his money, Dak is our guy. And Steven kept on saying, Dak got to understand we got to pay our boss. So that was on my own channel. And I was saying to my own Cowboys people, did they really even believe in him? Because they kept crying about that all the time, about not wanting to pay that kind of money to the quarterback and keep it spread out. So, it's like an evil, Joe. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because it's like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you don't sign them, somebody else will. If you do sign them and they don't produce, you're like, man, you've been wasting all that money. But that's just the way the NFL is now, dog. I mean, it's for every position. One person gets paid, the next player is going to get higher paid than you. It's just what it is.
Facts. Yeah, it's always keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
You got to see what your neighbor is getting to make sure. But the Spike 23 brings up a good point talking about the college game, saying that it's strictly RPOs. I want to ask you twofolded. I mean, I've talked to you about my job and everything, and what kind of I run into a lot is these NIL deals. I run into even on my channel. You know what I'm saying? I run into a lot of people that tell me talk to their agent, whereas a couple years ago it was like just strictly talking to players. Do you feel like the changes in college football, whether it be how they're running the system, whether it be everybody getting paid NIL deals, maybe they're not taking it as serious as before? They don't have the hunger maybe they did before. Do you think college is having something to do with maybe the lack of production coming from these quarterbacks going into the league?
I think those NIL deals are affecting things because kids are coming out now like I want to get paid. When they're coming out of high
Hmm.
school now, they're looking to get paid. I don't know if it's really messing things up, but I could look at it this way, because these kids are getting paid now. They're working harder in high school. So I don't know if that's
True.
college is really messing everything up, because now let's think about this, Joe. When you're coming out of high school now, you were never thinking about getting paid, right? Now you're going into college out of high school thinking I can get paid. So I think these high school players, because I'm interviewing a lot of these guys, they're really going hard in camps. They're really trying to hone the craft, because think about it, they want to get paid. And the better
Yes.
they are in high school, the probably more they're going to make in college now. That's
Facts.
something that they're looking at. So they're probably going to be even more advanced. So I'm not going to say that's destroying that right there, because I think these high school kids are really trying to get paid, and they're going to really trying to hone their craft while they're in high school now. They're going to take their craft even more serious, because they want to get paid in college. And then obviously you're in college, you're making some money. Your ultimate goal is the NFL. So I think you're still going to want to once you get that taste of money, you're going to want more.
Yeah, that is a fact. These kids are growing up too damn quick, though. Like,
Yeah, they
it's
are,
like,
man.
it's
Yeah,
like,
they
bro,
are.
they freshmen in high school getting $100,000 to talk
You
about their
feel me?
pizza company. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Some of the stuff I've seen, and it's like small schools too. Like, I'm telling you, the amount, and I know you see it as well, because, like you said, you do the high school stuff. So, like, the amount of people that go to like Akron, State College, that are getting $15,000 to talk. Like, it's insane. I'm all about it. I love it. We've been talking about this for years. How these young men should get paid for what they bring to these schools and these universities. So I'm glad that they're getting their money. Don't get me wrong, but it is a little bit weird. It is a
It
little
is
bit
weird.
weird. People are coming out a little bit differently. Now, I do shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a lot of people in here. People going
Yeah, the
crazy in
chat is
this chat.
booming. The chat is booming,
Yeah,
man. Hey,
I
appreciate
love
everybody
it.
in the chat. The chat is booming. Y'all must have missed this, and we missed y'all too. Keep on hitting that like button, subscribe button. Chat is going crazy on both sides, man. It's awesome, but that's my dog Joe, man.
Yeah, facts. No, I love this. I love this. And somebody called me Old Man Joe, complaining
Oh
about
man,
the
Joe.
youngins. That's how I felt. As soon as I said it, I was like, yeah, that's kind of
They
how,
don't
I can't believe I
whippersnappers.
just said it. Yeah, right. These young kids, man, had to walk 15 miles in a snowstorm before. They don't know nothing about that. So I
Exactly.
want to I want to talk. I want to stay on Windows a little bit. I know I got a little bit sidetracked. I want to talk a little bit more about our Windows, but I don't want to talk about the Eagles and the Cowboys. We
Okay.
aren't. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm watching every single snap of every single, Cowboy or Giants
Right.
and
Right.
Washington.
Right.
But from your perspective, anything that you have been able to pull out, obviously we got some friends that cover the teams. Has there been anything sticking out to you about Giants or Washington? Do you think that they're maybe working on getting their window to start opening?
I mean, obviously they are. Like I said, the Giants, they're to me, they're in rebuild mode. I'm
Yeah.
not hating on the Giants. They're just not ready, dog. I feel like they still have to figure out that quarterback position. As long as they're in that little rut and that middle spot, they're gonna struggle. I feel like, they got their defense may be better, because they really went hard on the defensive side of the ball. And they weren't bad defensively last year. So I think they're going to compete in the NFC East with defense. We'll see how Saquon Barkley, how he comes back for those injuries the last few years. Is he the same type player? But I ain't gonna lie, I ain't really thinking about no Giants, Joe, and I don't think you are either. Now, let's keep it real. But let's Washington. I'm keeping my eye on them just because they have players. They have a defensive players. Obviously, their linebacking core wasn't the greatest, and they need to see what their secondary is about. They got Carson Wentz. They have some offensive options. I mean, they got some receivers over there. They're trying to rebuild the offensive line, but to me, it still comes down to Carson Wentz. And we talked about it, Joe. I said, we both came with, I think, 8 or 9 wins for them. I think it was 8 wins for them. But we
Yeah.
both agreed, Joe. We just don't feel Washington and Giants are really the guys this year. They're not really the teams that you're really looking at. And even with them getting Carson Wentz, Washington, to me, does not make the leap over Philly or Dallas this season. It just doesn't happen. I feel like we know what Carson Wentz is. He's going to show those colors again eventually, and he's going to go back to being the old Wentz of back in the day. So I just feel like, you know what, it's between us and you, and that's where it's going to be maybe for the next few years. Because I feel like we have the most talented rosters in the NFC East.
I think that they're going to be interesting. I think Washington will be interesting. Like you said, I have a side eye looking at the Giants just because I am interested. I'm intrigued to see what changes will happen because I don't think Daniel Jones is as bad as he was last year. I think that the coach was kind of the common denominator with everything with that. They have a better coach, so I'm interested to see how that works out. Washington, I'm very interested. I want to beat the living, snot out of Washington. I hate Carson Wentz with a maybe unreasonable passion. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I heard
so
a lot of people. A lot of people tell me like, "Oh, get over it." I don't care. I don't like him. Like, I'm never gonna like him. So
okay. I never got to ask you about the Carson Wentz thing. So why do you have so much of a disdain? It's so funny to hear you Philly fans talk about Carson Wentz. It's just hilarious to me. I'm sorry. I'm eating this up. Because I remember when they drafted him, and Carson Wentz can do no wrong in your Philly eyes, and Carson Wentz was the best thing. Now y'all just hate Carson Wentz, and it's just so funny to hear and listen to. So I need to hear Joe Castro's reason why the disdain for Carson Wentz when y'all loved him so much.
Well, you just said it. You literally just said it. If you constantly have your boys back, right? You constantly go out there. Somebody's talking junk about your boy when he's not there, and you're like, nah. Like, imagine it's me, right? And you're like, nah, man. Joe's a good dude. Joe works hard. Joe goes out there. He's talented. Like, he's great. I love that dude, man. He can do no wrong, right? And then imagine you need me, and I quit on you. That's how I feel. I feel like I consistently had his back. I consistently, said that he was better than Dak Prescott. I consistently argued with you guys about, what Carson Wentz is and was going to be, and he just quit. He gave up on Philly. He gave up on the team. He gave up on himself. He gave up. I'm trying to think. I think he's a vegan now. He gave up on meat. He gave up, like, you know what I'm saying? He gave up on everything. I have no respect for that type of person that can just hide like that. He didn't say anything. If he would have came out, I'm dead honest. I'm so serious when I say this, James. If he would have came out a week before he got traded and said, I don't want to be here. Right. I don't like Philly. You guys, I don't like how you treat me. I don't like how the fans act. I don't like Howie. Whatever he wanted to say, just tell us something. He literally didn't talk to us. He didn't say anything. He just left us on red. People are tagging you. People are defending you. I got into so many arguments. Once I was over the whole Carson Wentz situation, I was like, whatever, just let him go. You know what I'm saying? I got into so many arguments that were like, we should go out there and roll a red carpet out. We got to make sure he's happy. He did this for us. He did that for us. And he just gave up. He just gave up. So I have no respect for that type of person. I just don't. I have no type of respect as a man. You know what I'm saying? As a player and what he did for Philly, like the 2017 season was big. He was a huge part of that. We probably don't win the Super Bowl if he was not our quarterback during that season. I'll say that I'm blue in the face. But he quit. He quit on us, so I quit on him. That's that's it. You quit on me, I quit on you. So that's the long and short of it. I'll never have respect for him. And then you're in Washington now, so it just doubles down. Like when I love Corey Clement, but when Corey Clement went to Dallas, like his cousin, I'm friends with his cousin. You know what I'm saying? And his cousin actually sang the national anthem at the game between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think on a Monday night or something like that. I hate the guy. I was talking mad junk about Corey Clement to his cousin. Like, I don't care. He's not an Eagles fan. He's not an Eagle no more. So if you're not an Eagle no more, I'm talking junk. So yeah, I know that's a long-winded answer, but Carson just quit.
I wanted to hear all that.
I'm good on it. Carson quit.
And so, see, when I listen to the chat and listen to a lot of your Eagles fans, I hear a lot of them saying the same thing, that, he quit. So we hear at Indy, he did the same type of things. So I'm sorry. That's why I guess I don't fear Washington, even though they got better at the quarterback position, because he's the most talented quarterback they've had in a while.
Yeah.
But what they say, the leopard spots, something like that. What's it? Something that once his spots are one.
Yeah, I know. I forget that.
Somebody get that saying. Somebody get that daggone saying in the
Yeah,
chat.
somebody pick
But
that
you
up.
know, once he had them spots, that's what he is. So I ain't worried about no Carson Wentz. I know he probably gonna make the Washington Commanders a little better. They won 7 games. Like I said, they may win 8. One more game, maybe 2 more games. But Carson Wentz is what he is. I don't trip off no Carson Wentz no more. When I first saw Carson Wentz at Philly, I was like, yeah, this dude could be a dog. He has the talent. But mentals is everything, especially at the quarterback position. And I'm sorry, unless he just super changed, and I don't believe it, it's going to happen the same way it did in those other 2 stops. Will Washington as well.
Facts. And shout out to Eagles fan and everybody that came
Shout
out
out
there.
to
I
you,
think,
boo. Leopards
yeah,
don't
your
change
girl
their
put it
spot.
through. Yeah.
Appreciate
So
you,
shout
boo.
out to everybody. We both had somebody in our chat put it up. We got smart
Thank
chats.
you.
I love it.
I love
it.
love y'all. We love y'all.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's only gonna get more interesting, especially with him, because it's like you said it, you put the nail on the head. Like, he's the most talented guy they've ever had. And I think that me and George talked about this too prior to him going over there. You know, he was like, look, this is the best guy that the Washington Commanders have had, so they're excited about that. But again, he's not going to be probably the best in the division. He probably won't even be second best in the division. So it's an improvement for them, but I don't think it's enough. I definitely don't think it's enough. I, again, am not in the situation where I think the Eagles or Eagles fans should be sitting here saying that, oh, Super Bowl or bust, Super Bowl or bust. We just need improvement. You know what I mean? I think the Cowboys are and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think the Cowboys are in a predicament where if they don't at least win a playoff game, I think at the very least win a playoff game, make it to a championship game, hopefully, there's going to be a lot of heads rolling. There's going to be a lot of fingers pointing.
He should be gone. And here's what I said. This is what I said, Joe. Not to cut you off on that, but I made a tweet. I made a tweet about this, talking about Mike McCarthy. That if he doesn't win this year, and I had the these people, Joe, the factual police. I made a post and said I believe after 3 years, Jerry starts to want to move on from you. And now, if you look, there wasn't exactly 3 years when he was moving on from guys, but it was a trend. So, of course, the factual police, and this guy, he was with them 4.5 years, and this guy was with them 3.75 years. So, really, you're really not right on that. Shut up, you factual police. Be quiet. You know what the hell I was talking about. I was talking about after 3 years, Jerry starts to say, hey, I'm going to get rid of you because you ain't did it, and my time is ticking. So, this is year 3 with Mike McCarthy. So you just had a year in 2020 where I guess they gave you a pass because it was COVID, but you didn't make the playoffs. That was 2 straight years. You came back 12-5, and we thought this could be a Super Bowl year, only to fall flat on your face, and it was everybody, right? So if you come through this year and you don't do it again, let's say you just get to the playoffs, like you said, and you get eliminated first round again. Why are you keeping Mike McCarthy? And it's not that he's a bad coach, but he's not doing it here. The reason why you brought him in here is because he has skins on the wall. You brought him over here to win a Super Bowl. You didn't bring him over here to win 10 games a year. You didn't bring him over here to get to the playoffs. You got him over here to get to a Super Bowl. Championship game, Super Bowls. If he's not accomplishing that, he does not need to be here. So, yes, I will agree. If Dallas does not do it this year, with their coach, I don't think Mike McCarthy's there. With Sean Payton sitting in the wings, when there's no salary cap on coaches, you can spend as much as you money with him. And there's been that infinity with Jerry Jones and Sean Payton and the Cowboys ever since he left when they had Romo. So it just makes sense if you want a box office guy and the Cowboys want to keep money coming in and their fans not running away, that's a box office guy, Sean Payton, because it has so much familiarity. So, yeah, I think that's coming. If Mike McCarthy does not do it, Sean Payton is coming here, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about coaches too before we're at 50 minutes. Shout out to everybody. We got 180 people in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. I want to talk about coaches before we do. Shout out to my guy Spike 23s said with the $5 super chat. He says the Eagles made a business decision allowing Wentz to leave like a little ass punk. Oh no, he says leave in the cover of darkness. My bad, I read it wrong. I got dyslexia, but yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%, man. I 110% agree with you. I appreciate that $5 super chat. But I do want to talk about our defensive coaches because the Eagles and the Cowboys are in very, I don't want to say similar situations, but very, very close to similar. They're kind of alike. You guys obviously have Dan Quinn, who has worked wonders for your defense, right? He's done very well for you guys. Last year, he was a guy that was talked about maybe going back to being a head coach. But obviously, with Sean Payton being a guy that's, on outside the window, looking inside the gym, waiting for his time to be called in at this point. If I say that because Jonathan Gannon on our side, defensive coordinator, if he has a good year, most likely he's gone. If he has a bad year, most likely he's gone. So I say that to say this. Are the Eagles and the Cowboys, possibly both teams, if you do go get a Sean Payton, would you be trying to keep Dan Quinn? Would you be moving on from Dan Quinn? But do you think Sean Payton would be one? Like, would that be his decision?
And see, that's the key. That's the key. Because when Mike McCarthy came over, they got rid of everybody else, right? But who did the Cowboys make sure he kept? Kellen Moore, because that was their guy, their boy wonder, raising them up just like Jason Garrett. If you look at the situation, the way Garrett came in, it's almost eerily similar how Kellen Moore came in. So yes, they were probably thinking this is still our boy wonder. We're still trying to build up in the program. Kellen Moore is only 33 years old, dog. He took over as offensive coordinator at 30. So he's still young in the game. So I felt like they were still trying to raise him up to be the next head coach. I said as soon as he came the offensive coordinator, he was going to be the next coach. But here's the thing. With all that stuff that happened this past season and with, the Kurt Warners, those guys putting the Kellen Moores on blast, and we got to see the last couple of years, and the Cowboys, people from my Cowboys community have brought this up. Shout out to them. The last couple of years, people been interviewing Kellen Moore, and he ain't got a job. Okay? Yeah. So I don't think he becomes the head coach now because I just feel like Kellen Moore can't lead men. And I just don't feel like people going to lead. I just feel like that's why when they were talking about with Jacksonville, that would have been an absolute train wreck if you moved on from Urban Meyer to go to a Kellen Moore. He's not a leader of men. I'm sorry. I just don't believe Kellen Moore is a leader of men. I believe he has a good offensive mind, but he's not a leader of men. So I just don't see Kellen Moore being a head coach right there. So I eliminated him right now. Dan Quinn, I feel like, yes, he does come back because you already had Jerry Jones flirting with Dan Quinn possibly being a head coach. He started flirting with that idea and talking about it, okay? And you got to see what he's done to the Dallas Cowboys and turning them around, and he didn't take those offers last year. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are going to be like, Sean Payton, you come here, you got to keep Dan Quinn because our defense is still doggish with him. Micah Parsons loves him. That's the key. Micah Parsons is our animal right now. He's in love with a Dan Quinn. You understand? Micah Parsons has a lot of pull. I said he becoming the face of the Cowboys, right? So that wouldn't make any sense to me if you brought in a Sean Payton after getting rid of a Mike McCarthy to move on from a Dan Quinn when you have those things established. And I'm going to tell you right now, Sean Payton ain't going to have no say in that, especially if the defense goes ham again this year. He ain't going to have no say on that if he's brought in.
Now, what if Sean Payton doesn't want to come back? Is he like? Would you think Dan Quinn might be?
Then I think Dan Quinn could be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. If Sean Payton, if they don't get Sean Payton, then I think Dan Quinn could be the next head coach because, like I said, I don't see Kellen Moore being the leader of men. I feel like things were given to him. I just don't feel like he's a leader like that. Man, even when he's talking to Dak was your guy. Dak trumped you. You feel what I'm saying? So you feel what I'm saying? Dan Quinn has done it, right? Dan Quinn has been a coach in the NFL. He was a head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He went to a Super Bowl. No matter what anybody says about them losing that Super Bowl in the Patriots, he took the team to the Super Bowl, okay? So that's going to weigh heavily to me in Jerry's mind if he doesn't get a Sean Payton to say, well, I'll keep Dan Quinn because look what our defense did 2 years in a row. He was a head coach. He went to a Super Bowl. So I'm going to take that rather than the unknown of a Kellen Moore. That's what Jerry's going to go with because he's going to say, I'm 80 years old.
Yeah, that's true. And it's crazy how underappreciated I feel like Super Bowls are now, man. We freaking fired a guy that won us a Super Bowl. You guys got lucky and got a guy that, got a team to a Super Bowl and they just all hate him for some reason. But you have a $5 super chat if you wanted to read that, brother. I think that's yours.
I think that's yours.
Yeah, that's from your side.
Okay. Well, let me get this. Is it the $4.99 holla?
$4.99.
Okay, 4.99. Holla for Mr. Vincent Wright. Says Joe, we talk a lot about Jalen, but are we not talking about the main factor last year? The defense was the issue before Jalen's inconsistency. Talk about that, Joe.
Oh no, yeah, the defense sucked. I've said this a lot. And I'll keep saying shout out to Vincent. I appreciate the question. Look, man, if our defense, I've said this, if the Eagles' offense is the exact same as last year, if Jalen Hurts makes no improvement, we should still be a better team because you look at the additions we did on this defense. You look at the players that we have on this defense. Our defense was atrocious last year. I will say this. I had my guy Jimmy Smith on here, and he was kind of breaking down the numbers of the defense, which helped a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of brought up a lot that I didn't realize. But we were like 11th in total yards allowed. And if you look at that from the beginning, it almost sounds impossible because we were giving up so many yards, so many plays, so many, such high number of completion percentages to these quarterbacks. That is kind of crazy that we ended up close to top 50, close to top 10 in that category. I won't talk about many other categories because we weren't that good there, but we have to get better on defense. If this defense does not get better, it doesn't matter how good Jalen Hurts gets. It really doesn't, So I think that's 100% right. And I think that's a great point to bring up. And a lot of people need to start looking at that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see because, like I said, let me give shout out to, I don't mess with you Eagles like that, but it's been a thing that was trending around the internet. Shout out to Jordan Davis for hitting them high notes and going ham.
Yeah.
I give him a lot of love on that because I know that's a lot of pressure for them rookies and a lot of them flop what they singing. But actually, Jordan Davis was blowing on that. And Mary Jane.
Yeah, and people don't know that song. I'm just glad that he put a whole bunch of youth onto some Rick James. That's what, what I'm saying? That's what we need in this world. A little bit more Rick James. so I said that song choice.
Rick James. Yeah.
I love it. It was awesome. I love this time of camp, man. This is just when everybody has fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all you're supposed to do. Just go out there, get to know your team, get to know, your squad, your staff and everything. And you figure it out from there, man.
I got some Eagles questions, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you be hitting me with them Cowboys questions.
Yeah, I have a million questions. I need to know.
I need to know, though, too. I think you were talking about the chat, on your Twitter about Hassan Reddick. He's gonna be dropping in coverage. What's the plan for Hassan Reddick? How do y'all feel about him? Y'all brought him over, and a Bradbury. Kind of give me your thoughts about how those guys maybe have looked in camp, and what's your kind of plan for him? Those
right now, James Bradbury, I've heard nothing but good things about Bradbury. Playing his role. As far as Hassan Reddick goes, it's been very it's been trending because people, and I don't want to say this in a harsh way because I feel like sometimes people say this like in a disrespectful way and it doesn't get the point across. And I don't want people to think that I'm calling them stupid because I'm not. But I think we allow negativity to kind of overshadow a lot of things. So, and how does that relate to Hassan Reddick? Hassan Reddick is obviously a very good, if not great, pass rusher, right? We know that. He got his stones the last couple years being a great pass rusher. I think around 23 sacks over the past 2 years. Amazing. That's what we want him to do most of the time. But there's like 70, 80 defensive plays in a game. He is not going to be rushing 70, 80 times a game. That's just not what he's going to do. He has the ability to, play in pass coverage. And at times that's what he's going to be asked to do. There has been a lot of times in these training camps where he has dropped back. My biggest thing and my whole point of making that tweet was, don't get surprised when that happens. Don't get upset when that happens. If it's a consistent thing where you're seeing, every single play he's dropping back in coverage, then I'm going to look at John Gannon and be like, what's going on, brother? Come on. Like, be a little bit smarter. But it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. He's going to drop back. There's so many different players at that linebacking position that Hassan Reddick is going to be let loose. And there's going to be plays that he might be lined up to rush and that he just says, maybe I should drop back. We're going to let him go wild. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the whole thing. And he's even said in his, interviews that he feels confident in his ability to drop back and play pass coverage. So I'm not saying that that's what you're going to see mainly. And I don't think that you should see that. And obviously I don't think you will, but I do believe that he's going to be asked to do that. He is a linebacker. At the end of the day, he's not just a defensive end. He's a pass rusher, and I get that. but he's gonna drop back. So I realistically just said that because I know people are gonna bug out because people already are bugging out about him dropping back. It's part of the position, it just is. You look at how our linebacking core is going. You look at the secondary, the James Bradbury edition, stuff like that. We're going to ask everybody to do stuff. Like they're not going to be one dimensional. That's just not what our defense is. You look at even last year, we asked people like Fletcher Cox to drop back. Obviously, he didn't like it. He probably won't do that again. But we're going to try every different type of, formation, every different type of variety of a play to try and see what's best, man. We have so many unique type of talent. So Hassan Reddick, I think, is going to still be our main pass rush. Don't get me wrong. I still expect him to get over, double-digit sacks. But he's going to pass rush. I mean, he's going to pass cover. Like, that's just what he's going to do. It was more so me just trying to tell people to calm the heck down because it's like, I'll tell you, people are bugging out over every little thing that they see at training camp, and it just really isn't that big of a deal. So that's really what I was trying to say with that. You know what I'm saying?
And now let me ask you a couple more things on one thing in particular.
Yeah.
You were talking about your coach. He was the offensive guy, and he's turning the play calling over to someone else. I don't actually know the coordinator. But going into this season, are you guys going to feel, from your perspective, you got the A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith is in there, your receiving core good. I can't lie about that. Are you guys going to be a 50-50 split, or are you going to be more pass dominant now and put really the onus on the Jalen Hurts because now you got the A.J. Browns. Now you Devontae Smith is in his second year. Your receiving core, you got your tight end, Goddard. Where do you feel that you're going to be that on that aspect on the offensive side attacking the ball? And then as far as A.J. Brown, he's obviously brought over to be the guy. Give me your kind of thoughts on what his numbers may look like from afar, in your opinion.
That's a great question, and one that I've been trying to kind of figure out all offseason is what this offense is going to look like, because it comes down to, what Jalen Hurts can do to a certain extent, and I'm not going to sit here and act like you can't get better at certain things, but what Jalen Hurts' strengths are. What this offense's strengths were last year. You look at how Shane Steichen called the plays, and there was a lot of chatter, that I don't know exact week that it happened, but there was a lot of chatter that Shane Steichen took over the play calling last year towards the end of the year, towards like the last 8 games is what I'm hearing. But you look at all that, you start adding all that up, it seems like it makes sense to just continue to be that running team and get the ball into the hands of your playmakers, a A.J. Brown, a Quez Watkins, a Devontae Smith, a Dallas Goedert. You look at our screen game last year, and realistically over the past couple years, it involves all of our guys, right? So if I had to go out there and like actually run this team, I would still say let's do like at least 55 run, a good 45% of it pass, and just try and wear down defenses. But then the idea that you have to see what Jalen Hurts is as a passer is a real, question. That's a real idea. That's a real thing that you have to figure out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to press a little bit. And you look at the beginning of last year even, and we threw the ball more than I've ever seen the Eagles throw the ball. So, and that's even without knowing what Jalen Hurts was. So I don't know. And I know that's a cop out, but I really don't know what their mindset is going to be, because they could see some stuff in the camp that they're like, hey, Jalen's ready to be that guy that throws the ball 30 plus times. But if I'm going off of what it looks like, going off of the optics of, everything that's happened so far, I would say at least like 55% still run, and then 45% pass. A.J. Brown is going to be very, very interesting because A.J. Brown is going to be that number one guy most likely, but you still got a Devontae Smith. You still got a number one running game. You still got a Quez Watkins. You still have a Dallas Goedert. You still have a quarterback that likes to run the ball. That's going to be really interesting. I personally think he's going to be around like 60, maybe 65 catches. I think he'll be just over 1,000 yards. I think he'll maybe just under double digit, touchdowns. I don't think he's going to go out there and have a Cooper Kupp type season, because we're not a Rams type offense. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll do well. I think it won't be like, oh my God, we have the best wide receiver in the world. But I think that his numbers won't tell the full story. I think the game, and I think this with the whole Eagles team, the numbers will tell a part of the story, but the real story is the game inside the game. You know what I'm saying? You want to see the improvement throughout the year. You want to see AJ Brown realize that, hey, Jalen Hurts is in trouble. Let me break off my route and get open for my quarterback. Those type of things are going to be huge. Not necessarily that, hey, he just got a 90-yard touchdown. That's cool. Don't get me wrong, but those are going to be few and far between. My thing that I'm looking at is how much are you going to help my quarterback grow? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where his impact will be. Numbers wise, I think he'll be good. I think he'll be in that top 15 range. I don't think it'll be anything insane. Just because of the way the defense runs. The offense, runs. So that's really what I'm thinking with them.
Okay. That's good stuff to hear because I was kind of maybe in the back of my mind thinking that, but like I said, everybody's been hyping up the AJ Brown thing. So I was just getting your perspective of how that offense is really going to attack teams this year, or is it kind of going to be like, okay, yeah, this is a team that kind of weak. Secondary will attack them in the, we're going to attack them in the air, or we just going to say, hey, doesn't matter if they're weak in the secondary or not. We're going to run this ball. We're going to protect Jalen Hurts, and then when we see those opportunities, we'll let them take them. So that's kind of where I was trying to get my gauge of how y'all feeling with the offense and how you'll be attacking defenses of this season.
Yeah, we have to win. We have to be a better team, right? Like we're not gonna go out there, and I'm not talking junk about Jalen. It is what it is. Like I know people are gonna take it as me, like hating on him. I don't think that there's many teams that Jalen Hurts can go out there and just beat them by himself. And I think that that's unfair to ask any quarterback. I don't even really care who the player is, right? Tom Brady's with a whole bunch of all-stars around him at this point. So I at the end of the day, you need a team to win. I just think that our team is built very, very well, and I feel like he's at a certain extent house money. Like to a certain extent, he's just, if he's great, the Eagles are in great position. If he's good, the Eagles are in a very good position. If he sucks, the Eagles got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback next year. But like, he doesn't have to be amazing. We don't need him to be Dak Prescott. We don't need, like, I think and I hate to keep bringing up the Cowboys, but it's the easiest comparison.
But see, here's the thing though, Joe. I've said it before too. Dak Prescott is better when it's balanced in Dallas. I don't want Dak Prescott throwing 40, 50 times, 400, 500 yards. That's all great. That don't mean that equates to wins. Okay.
Yeah.
So that I don't like that. I like when there's a balanced run game. I like when Dak is throwing around 25 to 30 times. Okay. And I like when that run game is getting about 25 to 30 times on the ground. That's when the Cowboys offense is more effective. That's when the Cowboys offense is better, in my opinion. When we don't have to have Dak chucking it around everywhere. I just don't feel like it takes away from our offense, in my opinion. And a lot of times seems like we lose those games when Dak's got to throw 50, 60 times. I don't like that. So, yeah, I always want to keep that balance. And I would think that would be the same thing with Hurts when you're still trying to bring him along.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that that's a lot of teams' idea, right? It's like, let's just keep the other offense off the field. Like, I think that should be everybody's game plan. Like, I'm not trying to have to deal with a bunch of, pass interference calls or this or that. Like, let's just stay on the field. Let's run this ball down their throats and see what happens. Like, the only thing that it comes down to is you need a defense that can make enough stops that your offense can get ahead. And you know what I'm saying? Actually do that. So that's where our defense comes in. That's why I say our defense needs to be better. Shout out to Vincent Wright. So he's just going between chats, sending $5. Shout out to Mike. I love it. Shout out to Vincent Wright. He says, for Joe, the offense will look similar to Indy's heavy play action, a lot of short passes, heavy run. Yak will be the key in this offense. I couldn't say it any better. I mean, you look at what Nick Sirianni did with his with Phillip Rivers in the last year. It was a lot of, getting Jonathan Taylor going after he left. But, you look at what he was able to do with Phillip Rivers, it was putting a lot of things right in front of him. And I think it's very similar when you look at Jalen Hurts. You need to put the stuff right in front of him. And then shout out to Jersey Boy with the $5 super chat. He said, if Hurts improves accuracy, anticipation, third down the red zone,
that's a lot.
His numbers will. Yeah, I know, right? When I was reading, I was like, damn. if he got a better haircut, you know what I'm saying? But he's not wrong. Jersey boy, you 100% right, man. Third down, red zone, those were really, really big. Anticipation gets clouded as lack of arm strength, or he has a noodle arm, but I think anticipation is really the problem. He said he can have stats like Murray in the Arizona contract. Man, that's what worries me. And I don't know if you were here earlier, Jersey. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
That's what worries me is like if he does go out there and put up regular number. I don't think Kyler Murray has done anything special outside of having Devontae Adams.
You feel me?
I mean, excuse me, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right, bro. Like, I'm sorry. That's why when we had the quarterback ratings, Kyler Murray was not in no top 10 for me. He was. They got a lot of hype around Kyler Murray, and I just don't see that hype. I think he's a good quarterback, but the way they hype this dude, I'm sorry, I just can't give it to him. I don't think Kyler Murray is that type of guy, and he can get mad and get offended all he wants to. This is my opinion. I don't look at Kyler Murray like he's all that.
Yeah, facts. If you got to tell a grown man to stop playing football, stop playing video games, and it's funny because I forget who I was talking to about this, but he was telling me that there's something out there, with Arizona Cardinal fans, that every time the new Call of Duty dropped, Kyler Murray's stats started dipping over those first couple weeks. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if he's a big Call of Duty player, but it was hilarious to see the comparison, because it is true. It's as soon as the Call of Duty drops, his numbers just start going down and down and down. It did kind of equate to DeAndre Hopkins getting hurt last year, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. But I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was awesome. I was like, this kid it's ridiculous, and I'm all about players getting their money. I really am, and I'm sure you're the same way. I'm not hating on no man getting their money, especially
not at all.
Minority.
Not at all.
Go get your money,
not
dog.
at all.
But when you look at our teams, I'm not trying to be paying. I love Jalen, but I'm not paying him $40 million right now. I'm just not. It makes me nervous, man. But either way, man, we've been in here for an hour and 20 minutes. We got 200 people in here between both chats. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're on my channel, definitely go on over to my brother James' channel. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And likewise, if you're on James, come on over, hit that like and subscribe. We do this every Sunday, and it just feels like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every time we do it. So I love it, man. But before we get out of here, Mel, you got anything you want to say, brother?
Oh, just want to say, man, I'm always giving my dog Joe the props, man. Go check out his podcast that he's got getting ready to pop off, man. He's gonna be killing it over there. Please go show him love with that. Is he's done an amazing thing. And I always got to just tell you, Daryl, I love the way we do this, man, and just continue to support this. I was super excited. We missed last week, but it was great because we were able to get some more content built up, and the chat was amazing. I just want to give shout outs to the chat. The chat was amazing today. Chat stays amazing. Let me not say that, but the chat was amazing. You guys were awesome. The feedback, the questions, the comments, you guys are fabulous. So we're getting closer and closer to the season. We'll be talking preseason games, Joe. And then we hit this regular season, man. This is going to be some good uncharted waters that we haven't done before. But this is going to be an exciting thing. The Best of Enemies podcast is hands down one of these top podcasts out there. I don't care what anybody tell me. This is one of the hardest podcasts out there. So please go support this, man. Hit that like button, share all that, because this is going to be even more phenomenal when the season starts. So that's big facts. I'm sorry. That's big facts. Best of Enemies podcast. He created the name too. You see the opening.
You gotta love it.
Second to none. Check this, man. This is where it's at. Go support this, man, because this thing is gonna be crazy during the season.
Yeah, during the season it's gonna be wild. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna get these guests on. We're gonna have fun, man. That's what we came here to do. If you are part of my channel, if you guys are Eagles fans, tonight we're gonna have a big round table with Mike 500. Run It Back podcast and Tone the Shields at 6. So definitely come through, hang out with me for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk all things Eagles. Me and James will be back next week as usual. That is James. I am Joe. And this has been the Best of Enemies podcast. Peace. Peace.
We're brothers. We're happy.